to show you how to make a double-sided card to print on Canva. And this video will show the Canva portion, and the next video will show the actual live printing experience. So the card size I'm going to be using is just half of an 8.5 by 11, so that I can just cut one of my standard size pieces of paper in half. And so that is going to make a 5.5 inch by 8.5 inch card. So I do definitely want to start with using that size in Canva. So I'm going to choose here custom size, and then I will get to I've already entered this in because I've been playing, but I'm doing my card so that it's going to be landscape. So it's going to sit like this. But if you wanted to do your card so that it was portrait, you would just reverse these numbers. So I'm doing this full height is 8.5. But if you were doing it portrait, you would be doing your width would be 8.5. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and click, and you might be default in pixels or whatever. You just need to change to make sure you're in the unit of measurement that you're using. And here we are in inches. Okay, so I'm going to click Create New Design. Okay, so here we go. It takes a little while to load, and we can wait for that to happen. So here we go. By default, I am going to move this to the other side. Sorry, still here. By default, I've been placed in a very small view, and so that's going to be really hard for me to work with. So I want to zoom in, and you can see down here that you can zoom in or out by clicking and scrolling on this. Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. So I'm going to put it about here because that makes me feel comfortable. And you can also see here that I have my ruler line showing. Now this is extremely helpful because it actually matters where the actual middle of your page is. And so in order to get these ruler lines to show, you just go up to File, and show rulers and guides. Okay, so that can just help us a lot as we move through the process. And if it's not there in that file list for you, it might appear somewhere else. You can always Google how to show ruler in Canva, and a lot of people will answer that question for you. So here we are, we're in our card. I can scroll up and down. I'm just using my trackpad to scroll up and down. You can use your mouse, you can click on these and scroll up and down. And the first thing I want to do is I want to make for myself a guide to show me where is the middle of the page. And that is, I'm a visual person, that's what works for me. You can also pinch to make it smaller. So I'm going to pinch in, make it a little, make it what the size it is. And I'm going to actually add a line. So up here under elements, you can find a lot of elements that you can use, and you can see here my recently used line, dotted line, which is just what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that dotted line, and whoopsies, and that is going to just go ahead and dump it in here for me. And now, so because my my full length of my card is 8.5 inches, then the middle point for that is 4.25 inches. So if I want to go to 4.25 inches, my line has actually appeared at 4.25 inches, and so I'm okay. But if it hadn't, you can use this to click around and drag, and you'll notice just ever so vaguely you can see on the ruler a little gray line moving up and down, and so you can slide that line until it gets to 4.25 or whatever your halfway mark is for your card. And of course, if you were doing this portrait, then instead of landscape, then you'd be putting your line up and down in the middle of the page, and your 4.5 would be up here. Okay, so there we go. And so now I have this midline that's just kind of a visual for me. Now I get completely confused about what's upside up and what's upside down and how is this thing going to print. In my card, and please don't be distressed that this isn't centered. This was a printing issue. Um, I can get them centered. This was a color ink issue. Issues. That is the true joy in life, isn't it? And so if we look, I like to actually look at a physical piece of paper to help me out. So if you look at the piece of paper, you can see that the bottom part of the paper has an upside up image that's going to be my card. You could use text, whatever you want. And the top of the card has upside down text. And so that's what I use to sort of center myself. And so that's what we're going to work on now, is adding these two things. So your front of your card is going to go at the bottom, and if you have some kind of text that you want, this is just going to appear on the back of the card. Okay, so you might not even want to put anything there if you don't want to. Okay, so but I do want to put something there. And so I'm going to go ahead and for the small upside down thing at the back of the card, I am going to put some text. So I'm going to go ahead and click on text. And you can choose, they have so many options. They are opportunities too, aren't they? Options for default text that you can use, and you can edit these. So if it's not the color you want, you can change the color. I'll show you that later. But for me on this, I just want a plain old text. And so I'm just going to click on add a little bit of body text. And it just goes ahead and dumps it right in. You can always use this arrow to move it up. Now, I like to write upside up at first, because writing upside down is really confusing when you get into backspaces. So I like to put my text in right up at the front. So maybe you would put your email address, maybe you'll put your name. I'm going to put right now, always remember that, oopsies, remember that I love you. And so that might just be a little note that somebody might receive the card and not even realize that they were getting a little love note at the back of their card. And you can then change this text. You can reduce the size of the font. You can change the actual font that you want to use. And oh, sorry, that I jumped into something you have to pay for. You can always watch for these little crowns. That means you just need the paid account. You can get a free 30-day trial just to make a special card, which apparently I did in the past. But anyway, you can change your font if you like. And then the next thing we want to do, once you're ready and satisfied with that text, is you want to just go ahead and turn it around. So I clicked the arrow one. So there's the square, these straight up and down arrows are for moving, and these are for rotating. The round ones are for rotating. And what's a really handy guide is we know we want to rotate it 180 degrees. So that's what we just go for, the 180, and then we don't have to wonder if we've got it straight or not. And then we have these lovely guides which show us it's a good idea not to put anything outside of those pink guidelines. And then also it tells you when you're centered, which is super handy. So there we go. So we have that. That's just going to be small at the back of the card. And then over at the front of the card, you can put whatever you want. I like to, because I've made a lot of paintings, and so I like to put in some of my own paintings. So I'm going to put this happy woman standing on the top of a mountain, because that's how I feel today. And so then once you get your image in, you can bring it down, And now what you want to be doing with this image is you want to center it on the bottom half of the page. So because the and that's where the guideline is really helpful. So you can see here that you've got this amount of space above, this amount of space below, and these amounts of space on each side. And so you can see here that it's centered. So what you can do is just kind of move your picture until it gets centered. I'm gonna kind of stop there. I'm gonna move it up just a littlest bit, just to try to get it so that these spaces look about the same. You could actually get out a ruler, like do some calculations and figure out your actual how much space is above, between, what are we at here? This is that 4 1/4, and then the top of this, you could figure out what that is and then do these measurements if you want to get it absolutely exact. I'm eyeballing it and that looks really centered to me. I'm just going to click off and see it still looks really centered to me. So I'm happy with that. And you can go ahead and you can use text, you can use images, you can use elements that they have. There's so many opportunities here. And so this is going to be the front of the card, but on this card we're going to make an inside. So for the inside, you just add a page. The page by default is the same size. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give myself the same guideline. So I'm going to go to Elements and I'm going to put in my guideline. And I am going to, it has automatically dumped me in the right place, but what you would have to do here is you'd have to do some math because it's not starting our numbers over again. Our ruler is continuing. So hopefully your guide would just drop you in the middle, but if it doesn't, you can do some math, or you could just make your second page a second card. So you can start again and make your second page a something else. So for the inside of the card, I had to do a lot of visualizing and figuring out. So because we know, so here's our card like this. So this is what the front side. But then we have to figure out, what do we want the back side to look like, where we want this probably to be blank and we want to have maybe some message right here. So so what I've gotten to by there is if I open the card like this, but you can see that opening the card like that makes this card upside down. So what I see here isn't what I want to put on the card. So if we know, so I can just make a mark, like I'm just going to put a little heart because I know that, sorry, let's do that again. So if you take your card and you say, okay, when I will open it, I want them to see something. So there's the heart I want them to see, right? So I want that to be, when they open it, I want it to be right there. That's where I want it to be, okay? So then what I can do is I can hold my page up the way that I've made it up here. So this is how it is, right? And then when I turn this over, I can see that the heart needs to be upside down at the top. And that's how I need it to print. So, because with the heart upside down at the top, it makes it so that when you open it, the heart is right there. Okay, so just again, there it is, and then the heart needs to be upside down at the top. And you can play around with those, and if you mess it up, you could always just switch around with how you plug things into how you put the paper into your printer. Okay, so upside down at the top, and let's just go ahead and put in, I just love this flower. It's so pretty and simple. And I also love the words thank and you, because gratitude is beautiful. So here we go. So let's just move this. I'm just, you see it's not giving me that square arrow, but I don't care. I'm just moving it anyway by clicking straight on it. And then I'm going to just shrink it down because I want to have room to write some of my own words. Oh, there's my little arrow, but you can also just click right on it if that works better for you. And there we go, I'm centered, and there's the whole box, so I think I want to put it here. Okay, and then I'm just going to add in some text, and the text is going to say thank you. So we have, I tried a thank you from here. They have all kinds of stuff, and I just wanted to show you, like if say we want to use this one, hello darling, and then, oh sorry, always watch for the crown. Goodbye darling. Okay, so sorry, I'm just trying to find something that has two things. So okay, let's try this one, good vibes. So the issue with this, of course, is it completely clashes with the flower, and yellow's probably not going to show up very well and stuff like that. So I got to I want to mess with it. I'm going to change some things. So what you can do is you can click on, so I was trying to grab good, but I grabbed vibes, and you can actually change the word. So I can change it to you, and you can also change the color. And for the color, it by default has document colors. So I might try to mimic, I don't know if this is like a faux pas for design, but I might just mimic like the thank you with the pink and then the green. So then I can go up and select good and say thank, oops, thank, and then I'm going to change that to this. Yeah, I don't know if that's like a design flaw or what, but I think it's kind of pretty and cute. And then, so that's how you can change, and you can change the size of the font. You can even change the actual font. You can completely edit whatever they gave you to start with. And so let's go ahead and place this. I think I'm going to want the thank you to actually be above the flower. So I'm just going to go ahead and play with that and play with this. Oh, look, it was, oh, I guess this is the center of my dotted line. This is the center of the actual document. So my dotted line's not centered, flaw. Okay. And let's go with the center of the document. So there we go. Thank you. And this would be like if you didn't really actually want to put much text. And you can also move your flower around and change all kinds of things. Yeah, I should have pre-planned this design, because now I'm going to get all thoughtful and it's going to take me forever. Oh, what I just did there is I cropped the flower, and so I actually don't want to crop the flower at all, so I can just go Command Z. And so there we go. So I think I'm going to shrink the flower there. And then I'm going to put the flower here, and I'm going to bring the thank you here, just so that the flower and the thank you are more integrated. I feel better about that. Okay, so that's good enough, and you can make your own designs and play around with it, and that's just such a lovely thing about Canva, is being able to move things, to change their colors. I mean, you can even change the colors of this flower, you see, because you can just click on this and change that, and you can click on this and change that. So I actually could have matched the thank you to the colors up in my image that I had up here, which would have been a great design idea. And so here we have it. That is our 2-page thing card, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete this guideline because I don't really need to print it. You could leave it, but I'm going to delete it. So now we have our card, and it is time for us to download and print. So all you do is you click on share and you choose download, and they're suggesting PNG. I actually really like this. It comes down as a compressed file, which you can then double click on it, and it'll be 2 separate image files, that's perfectly fine for printing, because you just print one and then you put your card back in the printer and you print the other. So I'm going to go ahead and say download. Wow. So there we go. So now that's going to be in my downloads folder, and I'm going to make you a separate video with an actual printer and printing involved. Ooh. Okay, thanks for watching, and I really hope you're having a lovely day.